What is up, everybody? Welcome to Dharma Time here on WPSN99.com. As always, I'm your host, the Dharma Guy, and let me go ahead and pull up Mr. Duke Doctor here. What's up, brother?
What's up?
Not much, man. I am. We're trying to keep on keeping on, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
It
dude.
is what it is, right?
Let me go ahead and do the intros and stuff real quick.
Okay.
As always, this is Dharma Time show where we talk about spirituality, kind of just helping you find some happiness and some enlightenment out there. And as always, behind him, as you can see, he is the founder. I'm the president of the Now Matters More Foundation. So if you or anybody you know is struggling with the disease of addiction, feel free to reach out at 833 Now Matters. That's 833 Now Matters. Or you can go to nowmattersmore.org and you can read about what we do. You can also donate. You can connect with us that way. And then, as always, you can follow us on social media. That is at the Dharma Guy, at the Dope Doctor, at WPSN99, and at Now Matters More. And of course, you can also check out our old videos and edited and whatnot at youtube.com/Dharma Time. I think that's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I
Show's
got. Man.
over.
That's it, man. See y'all later. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Full disclosure, I don't know what the hell's going on with my throat today, so.
What is it? You drink some more liquids?
Yeah, I think all it is just, man, like, the coronavirus is hitting, not that there was a good time to hit, but it is hitting at, like, the worst time right now because allergies are, like, going crazy for everybody. So it's kind of difficult to distinguish between what's allergies and what's, like, something you should be
Yeah,
worried about right now, you know? Oh, I'm getting a spam risk phone call at the moment.
that's true. Spammers get.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's like difficult, right? So you don't want to panic or freak out, but you can't help but to wonder, like, is this something I should be worried about? But and speaking of that, we are now currently, what is this? Last week was 3 weeks in, so we are now 4 weeks into quarantine. And as you can see, we're still doing our makeshift studios. I think we're going to continue this for quite some time. So at
Yeah.
some point, we'll see me having a different background behind me. But in the meantime, you get to look at my daughter's room, which is still non-painted at the very top corner there. Although it
Yeah.
seems like the fan is out of the screen today. So
So it looks like you fixed the fan.
no, it's off and on. But
Oh,
it's out of screenshot, so nobody can bust my balls about the fan now. So.
right on.
So I guess let's start with how are you doing, man? How you doing with the coronavirus? How you doing with quarantine? I know you said
Um,
you went out and did a honey-do list yesterday and hurt your back. So
yeah, I was doing honey-do list yesterday, and so I did. I went to the storage facility, moved around some things. It's just that time where you can do some things around the house that you've been wanting to do.
right,
And well, I haven't been wanting to do. I've been ignoring to do.
you've been told to do.
Yeah, and then I have no excuse right now. It's not
Sure,
like I can tell Dana I'm busy. I got this to do, that to do. So,
right,
uh, everything's full open out in the open, so she knows when I'm just messing around.
right,
So I went and helped her out, or did some stuff, and I hurt my back a little bit. I just twisted it. That's all.
right.
It's just that old stuff, Trinity. That
Exactly. You just you tweak your back. That's what we
yeah,
call it. We tweaked it.
was yeah, it wasn't heavy enough not to lift, but it was heavy enough that if you lifted in that angle,
Right.
uh, I knew I was going to remember it today. I knew.
Lift
It's
with
gonna.
your legs, not your back, man.
Well, I couldn't in that angle. That's the thing. It's in storage, so I had to reach over something.
No
So
bueno.
whatever.
Well, some could say the correct way would have been to clean up the things around it to get to it. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, my dad would have said that.
Exactly. You work lazy, you work twice, type of thing. Yeah. It's similar here on the home front. Here, I didn't tweak my back or anything, but I am I'm getting better at juggling all the different nuances that are coming with this.
Yeah,
Got a little routine going with the kids and their schoolwork, and my wife is in the process still of getting her teleworking stuff done so she can do it from the house.
teleworking. I like that term.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously being at the VA, they're exposed to the coronavirus quite significantly there, and certain individuals who are at high risk are being told to not come in. She's got some autoimmune things like asthma, things of that nature that require her to stay here because if she were to get it, it could potentially be very deadly for her.
Yeah,
So she's getting all that stuff set up. Not a lot of cabin fever here. I personally, I'm fine, as we talked about last week.
yeah,
I've got plenty of stuff on my Netflix queue to keep me busy. Not to mention, you have now joined me on the Destiny world,
right.
so that can occupy some time very quickly. So
Yeah.
I'm doing personally
Amen.
good. Uh, my little ones, they're going a little stir crazy because they can't
Yep.
understand why they can't go visit grandma. So I have to kind of re-explain that occasionally. My wife, my wife is my wife. She's got her moments, but I definitely think she is somebody that likes to be out and about doing things.
Right.
So I could tell the moments where it's like harder for her to deal with skillfully than others. So in those moments, I try to just give her space and kind of just let her do her thing. But all in all, man, we're getting along fine over here as well.
Uh,
I will say there's a few things that I definitely wanted to touch on today.
okay.
For people who've been watching this show for what it's been almost 2 years now, I think, right?
How's it
I
really?
think so, man. So for anybody who's been watching this on a consistent basis, first of all, thank you. You're awesome. Secondly, I would say, our format is kind of in flux right now. Dealing with this, we don't want to pound everybody in the head with coronavirus stuff. Having said that, that's what's going on right now, and that's what everybody's talking about. That's what everybody's dealing with, and so we feel compelled to talk about it. Having said that, you guys can feel free to put in the comments, or you can reach out to us if you're not watching us on social media. You can reach out with us through emails and stuff like that. If there's specific topics you'd like to hear more about, or something you think we should cover, we're all ears, man. We're all kind
Yeah.
of trying to adapt in this. But one of the things I will say, I'm noticing just some interesting trends at the moment happening with this whole quarantine and lockdown and whatnot. I think people are having a hard time finding that fine line between, being a little too aloof about it and being a little overzealous about it. And what I mean is, I think, you've got some people, we would normally call them the outliers. However, I'm not sure if I can call them the outliers. I haven't seen enough people to really kind of say, what the median is here at the moment. But it appears to me you have two camps, right? You have the one camp of people who are taking this extremely seriously, almost to the point of panic, in the sense of, they're covering themselves in like trash bags. And they're going what some could consider to be overboard. Who knows? I'm not one to judge. And then you got the other people who are like still going to like church services, in I think it was Louisiana and Kentucky, probably more, but I remember hearing those specifically. They're still going to church services and being around a bunch of other people, so it's obvious that they're not taking it serious. So I think there's a fine line, right? Like where, so for you watching this, you might have wrestled with this yourself. You might like have an issue with yourself. Like I think you brought it up on the phone earlier, Louis, when you said denial. I do think there's a certain amount of denial happening. I think that because it's an invisible enemy, because it's something we can't see, touch, feel, taste, it's very easy to kind of, get lost and think it's not there.
Right.
If it's like if it's like a bear sitting outside your front door trying to get in, it's pretty obvious where the threat is and how to avoid it. But when you can't see it and you feel fine and nobody you know personally is affected by this, you go out to the stores and everything seems like normal, except for maybe a few people wearing masks or whatnot.
Right.
I can see how it's very difficult to take it seriously. I can see how you can get lulled into this false sense of everything's fine, everybody's overreacting.
Right.
I think I was relatively guilty of that at first, like in the first couple of days of it. But as time has progressed and I've seen those numbers climb and I've seen people dying, definitely I think I've taken it more and more serious as the time has come. There was a story, and this kind of transitions a little bit into what you want to talk about. There was a story I watched, I think it was yesterday. There was a gentleman who was a bus driver, and I guess his job was still having him drive the bus,
Yeah.
and he was driving, and somebody got onto the bus. Now this might have been early on in the quarantine. I don't know what day specifically, but apparently he was driving the bus. Somebody got on. They were coughing up a storm and not covering their mouth or anything, kind of just being rude and disrespectful.
Right.
And he posted a video of him kind of having a rant, saying, "Look, some of us have to be here. We're trying to drive you around. You're being rude and disrespectful by not covering your mouth and things of that nature." And sadly, this story doesn't have a happy ending. That
Oh.
specific gentleman who was doing the rant ended up coming down with coronavirus and dying from it.
Whoa.
Yes, and all indicators point to it's likely that he got it from driving the bus and potentially from that person coughing. So that was an example of somebody who wasn't taking it seriously
Oh.
at all and potentially killed somebody. Not directly, and I'm not saying that was their intent, but I think their denial or their lack of taking it serious caused harm to those around them. And I think, to be honest with you, I think that is what is making me take it as seriously as I am. Not necessarily for my own health. You're talking to somebody who raced motorcycles and was doing really dumb things at, over 100 miles an hour and taking risks. I was relatively comfortable with the idea of dying. It is what it is. But the one thing I'm not comfortable with is taking somebody else's life. Like, I'm not cool with that, based upon my own hubris to take somebody else's life. So what's kept me kind of more strict than I normally would have been is, I've got a wife who's at high risk. I've got my mother who's watching. Hi, Mom. She's also high risk because, of her age and whatnot and some medical issues. And so while if I'm a betting man, I would say that I think we're all going to pull out of this just fine.
Yeah.
The realistic side of me is like, but we might not, and so I'm trying to take those steps. And so I think from my perspective, I'd like to talk a little bit about that. It's like what's causing people to not take it seriously, from a spiritual perspective, I guess, if we can put some sort of a twist on it. But, and I think you hit it on the head earlier, and that's denial.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people are in denial. I think especially if you're in an area where it's not really hitting that heavy, in your circle of influence, your circle of friends, you don't see people with it. You don't have anyone that's hospitalized, anyone that's passed away. You're not really watching a lot of the news, and it's really hard. Or you watch only Netflix
Yeah.
and only do social media, so you only read what you want to read. Then you're missing out on what's really happening to a greater part of this world,
Yeah.
right? And then if you only watch certain channels, then you get stuck in the United States politics of it, and then you're still not seeing what's happening in the rest of the world or to other people. So it's just really easy to get inundated or to get distracted
Yeah.
by things that aren't really relevant to what is really happening. And here's what's really happening, Trinity. When I sit out in my back porch and it's very peaceful out there, and Dana and I sit there nice and peace, and we just enjoy, like the birds chirping and just feel, some quiet time.
Sure.
I can't help but think that there's a lot of people dying right now. I mean, everywhere.
A lot.
And it's like I can hear, like I think about it and I concentrate on it. It's almost like you're knowing, like, how you see those commercials that say every 2 seconds someone dies from whatever.
Yeah.
That's the kind of clock that I hear in my head. It's like boom, 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 boom. Like every second that I'm here taking a breath in and a breath out, somebody just lost somebody that they really cared about, somebody that they really loved. So even though I'm blessed enough to be in a situation where that's not happening in my family, and we're all taking it relatively serious enough to at least protect ourselves and protect other people if we have it. A lot of people are not, because when we do go out for those runs that we have to make, the streets are full. At least where I live, with a lot of people everywhere.
Other than masks and stuff, you wouldn't know that there was a lockdown in my little area here that I'm at.
Right, and in my area, I haven't seen the garbage bag people. So in my area, that is an outlier. In my area, it's more normal for people to stay away from you a little bit, but then you see them doing a lot of hand sanitizer and stuff like that. But not even, there's, I guess half of the people tend to have gloves on and the other half don't. Half the people.
It's about what I see as well. I'd say half with gloves. The ones that have gloves also probably have a mask on. The other half have like absolutely nothing on. I would be one of the ones that have nothing on when I go out, only because I just don't have any here at the house. It's not that I'm like, some Billy badass who doesn't need to wear it. I don't have any.
And I do, but I feel like the supplies we have are for the worst turn should this happen.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario or what those supplies are for. It's much like when you have bunker supplies, right? Like I'm thinking about those people that right now that have built the end of days kind of bunker. What are they called?
Oh my gosh, the preppers. The preppers. Yeah.
Okay, so the preppers are probably like excited, right?
That's what they plan for, man.
All their kids, they know where to go. They have these code words and things. But I think that even them, they're not eating their prepper food.
No.
Even them know we could still get food out there. So let's not use up our food, because you don't know where this is going to go. Look, if things go the way we'd like them to go, very soon we're going to be on the other side of this, and then we start the healing process. But just like there's bad neighbors, there are bad people out there with a lot of power that can try to take advantage of somebody else. And if that happens, we're going to get involved because we're the United States of America.
Sure.
So this could turn into a really bad situation just because of who we are in the world,
Yep.
on the global market and the global economy.
Yeah, I think back to the store stuff.
Yeah.
I have noticed though, like I'm walking that line of trying to consciously not go too overboard either direction.
Right.
I have a tendency to kind of dismiss things a little bit, and so I'm trying to do my best to not just be like, whatever, we're all fine. Like I don't want to be that person.
Right.
So I've made a conscious effort when I do have to go out and make some runs. It feels weird to me because I've never done that as a person, but I will try to avoid people. Like I will try to actively, if I see somebody, it's that awkward moment when you're like walking in and out of the door at the same time type of deal. Like, do you move? Like, I'm not trying to treat you like a leper, but bruh, 6 feet. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute, Trinity. I'm calling BS on that.
What do you mean?
Well, because of your size and the way you look, you never have to worry about people coming up to you and approaching you. People,
And that's what I'm saying, though.
people repel around. They stay away from you, and they try to avoid you anyway.
But that's what I'm saying. I've never had to be the one to avoid, and so now it's this weird kind of feeling. I'm sorry.
They probably run from you.
Well, there's moments where you can't help it, right? Like where I come around the corner, I'm coming out the door, and they're coming in. Normally, I just walk, man. I'm doing my thing. But now I'm consciously having to like hold up. Let me move out your way a little bit. Like I've never been that person. You know what I mean? I've always I'm walking. Either you're gonna move or you're not. And so
you should act like a close talker right now. Right. See, just get real close. People, they'll all repel. You just move them out of your way with your aura.
Yeah. Marissa says, I think certain level of humor is okay, but outright disrespect to someone else's life is wrong.
Yeah.
My friend who is in a coma is awake, and the first pic he posted was bat soup. It's just kind of funny.
Well, you shouldn't eat bat soup.
Yeah.
Have you gone to the grocery store where like there's multiple people in the aisle? Have you seen how everybody is kind of mindful of the space stuff?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm never really mindful of that, but now I am finding myself, like, if somebody's at, like, an area that I'm wanting to go to, there's plenty of room where you can just go grab it and go. But I'll find myself waiting until they move kind of thing for the social distancing. And who knows? Who knows how legit that is, that protection? You know what I mean? Because we're still technically within, the same aisle with one another. But I think I'm going through the motions just because. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're supposed to do, so I'm going to do it. You never know.
Right. Well, I think the important thing, Trinity, and if we can touch a little bit on this, is there's some people out there that are actually still working. So when I was in that aisle, I saw two employees, right? And you're talking about minimum wage type employees.
Yeah, man. In
the grocery store working. Yeah. So as when we're talking about people not taking it serious, and there's some people that aren't, there's a lot of people that are forgetting that you may have this time off, and you may feel like you're on some sort of vacation, but there's people out there that are working their butts off right now. I mean, they're not getting any time off. Yeah. And if you're talking about anybody in the political arena, anybody, I don't care whether you like them, I don't care if they're red, blue, donkey, elephant, police officers, and medical people, those individuals feel like this entire thing rests on them. Like, if the numbers in your county go down, they feel like they did something positive. If the numbers go up, then they feel responsible. Yeah. So these healthcare workers aren't getting time off. A lot of them haven't even been able to see their families, man. Yeah. Like I don't know if you're staying away from your mom, but I'm staying away from my parents just in protection mode for them.
I'm doing my best, but who hasn't seen my mom is my kids. Like, they're her grandkids. I've done it just because I've had to go drop off supplies for her because I've done a couple grocery shopping things. But even then, I'll walk in, drop it off, and leave. Like, I don't really kind of chit chat.
But if you were a nurse, if you were a physician, you might be doing that for your kids. You might be staying at the hospital or at a hotel, not going home to your kids.
Well, there's some doctors that my wife works with that are doing that. Like, they're self-isolated because they don't want to bring it home to their family.
Yeah. So I feel for them. And these politicians, as much as I'm not fond of politicians in general, just as a even though they're necessary, I just find them easy to throw stones at, right? They're just
of course,
because you got to blame somebody, right?
Course.
So these politicians are out there. They're working their butt off, man. They're on TV every day. Yeah. They're out there every day. They're having meetings every day. The older people that are in government, they're having to learn technology where they never even had to learn technology before. They were just skating through. having this nice cush job, whatever. Not right now. Right now, they are working their butt off. So I want to at least take a moment to appreciate all of them. Yeah, I know it's real easy for everybody to appreciate doctors and nurses and stuff like that because they're not controversial, right?
Sure.
But I think right now you need to also appreciate all of the politicians that are working their butts off and all the law enforcement that are working their butts off just to kind of keep the peace
Yeah.
and the calm and not being an alarmist. We got enough alarmists
Yeah.
out there. We got enough conspiracy theorist people out there. We're allowed to do that. Like you and I, we can be conspiracy theorists. We can be alarmists. We can try to freak everybody out or whatever, but we don't hold that position, right?
Sure.
They, on the other hand, have to be calm every time they're in front of that camera. So it's really easy for us to call them liars or say they're not being totally truthful, whatever. But you got to remember, these people, they have access to confidential information. That's why it's called confidential.
Yeah.
They have to make moves and decisions based on everyone, not just them individually. And when you and I are talking, we're allowed to talk just about us.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I did think of that the other day actually when I was at I think it was Publix. I looked at the people who were bagging the groceries and things of that nature. I'm thinking to myself, man, like that's gotta suck, dude.
Yeah. What if it's your kid?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I can't imagine, not to, to be, insensitive here, but they're not rolling in the dough anyways. I mean, if you're bagging groceries, you're not making, 150,000 a year. So you're barely scraping by, probably trying to either support yourself or your family, or just kind of make a living for yourself. And then you get told that you have to, in order for you to continue to maintain your way of life. Oh, you're gonna have to come in during a pandemic and be exposed to all of these people. And what kind of a tough choice is that? Like, do I potentially catch this virus and die, or do I, end up being broke and living on the streets because I don't have any money to pay for anything? Like, what a hard choice.
And they may not be thinking that, Trinity. A lot of the young ones, though.
Maybe.
But what if you're the parent, bro? What if you're the parent? What if that's your kid? How do you allow your kid to go to work?
If my kid right now worked at the grocery store, you're staying home. You lose that job. That's fine. I'll get you another one.
Yeah, how do you do that? You know what I'm saying? That's the hard part. How do you walk that fine line between allowing your child to make the decision on their own, let them be the 18-year-old that they are, 19-year-old that they are, or saying, you know what, I don't care. You're staying home.
Yeah.
You can't go to work. Because I went to, I had to refill on Celsius, right? Ran out of energy drinks, right? And we're still doing what we're doing, so I still needed it. I had my fix.
Yeah, mine.
So went in there, did my protection thing. But the guys that were working, I saw the way they didn't. The guy put on gloves to give me change because I paid with cash.
Right.
As soon as I saw him put gloves on to give me change, I was like, "If you think I'm taking that $1.50, yeah," I said, "You can have it. That's your tip for you working, man."
Exactly.
He was so excited. He was like, "Woohoo!" He told his friend, "Look, man, I just got a tip." I'm thinking, "Good, brother.
Yeah.
You earn that because you're here putting your life at risk with every person like me that comes in."
Yep.
You're taking that risk. And
they can see hundreds of people a day, man, and who knows what those people were exposed to.
And damn well some of the people that come in there have it.
Of course.
It's a numbers game, right?
Dude, the Walmart right down the street from me apparently had 2 cases pop up. And I was just in that Walmart like the day before, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I guarantee you. I'm in the hardest hit zip code right now in Orange County. So, yeah, they're definitely coming to contact. So, I think maybe the theme of the show here, the theme of the day, maybe, if you're at home and you're looking for a spiritual twist on this, compassion. I think compassion for your fellow man, be it the people you're living with, who might be overreacting in your eyes, or maybe underreacting in your eyes, the people who are providing your sustenance to keep you going through this, the landlords, the politicians, everybody who you are looking at, and you are judging how they are handling these things.
Right.
Maybe today's the day you stop, take a step back, and try to add a little bit of compassion to that. Because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know why they're making the decisions that they're making. They're doing the best they can, just like you are. And just like you're doing the best you can, and you might mess up, you want somebody to appreciate your effort, you kind of have to do the same with them. And so I think from a spiritual perspective, compassion, man. Compassion is definitely the way to go right now because, like you said, these people who are working at the grocery stores, these people are delivering your pizzas right now. My mom ordered some groceries the other day and had it delivered to her door. Like, there's people out there who are whether they realize it or not, they're putting their lives at risk. Maybe they are 18 and they're like, I don't care, I just need money. Okay, but you know that they are
Yeah.
putting their lives at risk,
And they got
regardless.
moms and dads.
Yeah. So I think that, from like I said, from a spiritual perspective, I think that right now is a very important time to have some compassion. It's very easy for me, even right now, to kind of look harshly at certain individuals.
Yeah.
I try not to, and I catch myself doing it. That's why one of the reasons I talked about the show was like the people who are going to church, for instance, in I think it was Louisiana, Kentucky.
In person.
Yeah, there's
Not
probably more. Who knows? I think one of the pastors even ended up getting arrested. It was a whole big deal. But my first inclination was to think, "Are you kidding me?" And judge every last person involved in that situation. And I could probably have millions of people who would all agree with me. However, from a spiritual perspective, I have to stop myself and say, "Wait a minute." All these, the pastor is probably in his mind doing what he thinks is best. He believes in religion. If that's what he is devout in, then he really truly does believe God has got his back and he's going to protect him through this. He has a parishioner of followers here who are all lost and looking for guidance. So he's doing the best thing he thinks he knows how to do. Now, granted, we could all disagree with that, and obviously it was illegal, so he got arrested. But I'm going to try my best to give those people compassion, because the people who showed up probably weren't showing up because they were angry and trying to prove a point. They probably showed up because they're truly lost at the moment and they don't know what to do. And they needed somebody to help guide them. They need somebody to give them comfort and solace while dealing with this. And they were willing to risk going out to get that solace, because that's where they're at, And,
Right.
and so while, yes, it's easy to judge from a common sense and logic standpoint of what are you doing, you're putting everybody at risk, you also got to think of the human element and love them where they're at in their lives.
Right.
We don't know the fear that some of these people might have been living with in their day-to-day lives. And so I don't think the right way to handle it is to then chastise them and ridicule them and everything else. I think they're going to get enough of that anyways. Not to
Right.
mention, they're already feeling anxiety and fear inside anyways. So like they're
Right.
already beating themselves up way more than you ever could by calling them dumb.
Hmm.
So I think maybe that's where we stop for a second, have some compassion for the people out there who aren't handling it the way you think that they should.
Right.
The people out there that you're saying aren't doing enough. Like you said earlier on the phone, the police officers out there. Do you really seriously think that there's not a police officer having to stop somebody? Because don't get it twisted. You think the person at Publix doesn't care when they're coughing on everybody? You think a criminal isn't looking at this as an opportunity to get out there and do some knucklehead stuff?
And they have.
Yeah, and so police still have to police. Like they still have to pull these
Yeah.
people over. They still have to arrest them. And you don't think that these people aren't coughing on them and telling them I got corona? Like, can you imagine what they're going through at the moment? And I know the in thing to do right now is to be make the cops public enemy number one.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. Somebody breaks into my house or slaps my kids, I'm calling the police. Like I'm going to get this stuff handled. I don't know about you. I'm going to go ahead and get the police involved here. Somebody kidnaps my kid and I don't know where they're at. I'm not going to sit at home thinking, well, screw the police. No, I'm calling whoever I got to call. Like, let's get this done. And so we got to have compassion for those people, man.
Right.
Another example briefly. I'm sure you've heard by now that the Prime Minister of England has it, Boris. He had not only did he catch corona, but the dude was in ICU. Like for a moment there, it appeared as if he might not make it.
Oh, he's not anymore?
It seems like today he's improving. I guess he's still in ICU, but they're saying he's improving. He's breathing on his own or whatever.
Wow.
So, that's an example of a politician that I think there's plenty of people that love and plenty of people that hate.
Wow.
But the dude still got corona. Like, it's one thing to disagree with somebody. It's another thing to wish death upon that person. Like, that's a bit rough. And so I think compassion is the theme of the day here, man. What do you think?
Right. I agree, man. I tend to feel that there's some individuals out there that, rightly so, maybe are getting a little bit of ridicule because they're making it last longer for the rest of us, right?
Right.
So if you're one of these individuals that aren't taking it serious and you're touching everything and you're getting in close proximity of a lot of people and you're still doing the grouping and you're moving from place to place and you're going from state to state, you're just making it last longer for all of us. But I get it. It hasn't hit you, and you don't feel like one person makes that big of a difference. But one person does make a difference. There's always one.
Yep.
This is how this spreads, right? One multiplies. You're part of the number, so you got to. But so we all have to kind of be responsible, and if we do that, the faster we all do that as a group, then we can end this. But when we see people just not take it serious enough, and I don't mean like the bags that you were talking about, put
Yeah.
the garbage bags.
Yeah.
I'm just mean not serious enough where you're actually, if you did have it, what are the behaviors that you're doing that would infect others? That's all you got to do.
Yep.
Just think in your head, all right, if I had it, what did I do yesterday? Did I do anything yesterday that could infect other people? So, like when I had to go to the storage unit,
Right.
I put one of those wipes on my hand to hit the buttons, right? So that way, if I have it, I can't infect someone else by putting it on those buttons, right? The
Yeah.
digital pads. If I don't have it, I can't contract it by putting my hands on the buttons. And it's those kinds of behaviors that I think we just got to be very
Yeah.
mindful of. So yes, have compassion for somebody else, but more than ever, be very mindful about if I had a disease, am I comfortable with the one that's putting other people at risk and killing them?
Yeah.
Because if look at the numbers of the dead out there, the people that killed them don't even know that they killed them.
Exactly.
That's the reality. All those people were murdered to a degree,
Sure.
murdered, and don't. But the murderers don't even know they were murderers.
Yeah, and that's to me
Now,
that's where I was
and,
going with compassion too.
and I don't mean it to be overly
No,
dramatic.
I
I
know what
don't
you
mean
mean.
all of them, but there are individuals in that chain of death
Yeah.
that did not take precaution.
Well, it's an extreme example, but it reminds me of like the people who've been in trouble for knowingly having unprotected sex when they had
Right.
AIDS. Like they have AIDS, but they're
Correct.
knowingly having sex with somebody else and getting them infected. Like what do
Correct.
and for me, that's the same kind of. It falls into compassion as well, right? Like have enough
Yeah.
compassion for your fellow person to not potentially ruin or
Right.
devastate their lives, man. Like because something tells me that some of these people who are infecting others, as you said, they don't know. I believe that a lot of people are inherently good. So I think if you were
Right.
to track those people down and let them know, hey, by the way, the other day when you went to the store and you did such and such, you didn't know it, but you had corona, and this lady now, she's dead because of that. I
Right.
think that would devastate that person. I really do. I think the average person would feel devastated knowing that they unknowingly, through their own negligence or whatever, ended
Oh yeah.
somebody else's life. I think for the average individual, there's outliers who just don't care, I'm sure, but the average
Right.
person, I think they would have a hard time living with that, knowing, talking to the
Right.
family, especially if it was like an elderly person who left behind grandkids or whatever. Like, I think it would be very difficult for them to wrap their head around, holy cow, I did that. And so have enough
Right.
compassion for them to not put them through that, but also have enough compassion for yourself because you never know. You might be the one that infects, and you might actually know. Like somebody might call you up. It might be a loved one. It might be a friend that might say, "I haven't seen anybody but you, and I've got it now." You might want to get tested. Like so, you wouldn't want to live with that either yourself. So have enough compassion for yourself even to not to be that person that infects somebody else that you have to live with now, knowing that you ended.
Right. And so if we're going to talk about that, then we also got to talk about the exact opposite.
Right.
The person that accidentally infected somebody felt like they took all the precautions, but because we know very little about this,
Yeah.
and we do know about it, oddly mimics every movie that we ever watched about it. Like they use all the same language, right?
Yeah.
You watch these movies that are 10 years old. They talk about it starting in China.
Yep.
They talk about it being viral and it being through coughing and sneezing and breathing.
Right.
Then they talk about social. They even use the word social distancing on movies that are 10 years old.
Yeah.
So this is what we know about it. In other words, what we know about it is as much as Hollywood knows about it.
Yeah.
So you may infect other people by doing things that you don't know because we don't know yet.
Yep.
So for you, if you had a loved one or a family member get infected and maybe die, also if you felt like you were being safe and doing the right things, then don't blame yourself either because this is so invisible, and it does have such a long period of time where it just sits inside you and infects others without you even having any symptoms, and even knowing that you have it. And maybe you have a job where you actually have to go out and you come back to your family and somebody accidentally got it. Don't beat yourself up over it either. We're talking about those individuals that are just being callous and carefree about it, and not being responsible.
Yeah, well, I mean, in that example you gave in the first one, to me, once again, from a spiritual perspective, it all comes down to intent, right? If your intentions are to be protective, whatever, and it was just simple oversight or ignorance, and something inadvertently happened that wasn't an intended thing, yeah, it happens. You know what I mean? Like at that point, you have to realize you did the best you could. Some things are out of your control.
Right.
So I agree. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about
Right.
the ones. We're talking about the ones that guy on the bus was talking about when they got on the
Right.
bus and they're just openly coughing on everybody, not even covering their mouth. Which, first off, PSA here. I don't care if there's a coronavirus happening or not. Number one, wash your hands, people. Like, seriously, this shouldn't be a wake up call for you to now wash your hands. Number two, if you got a cough or sneeze, stop doing it on people or around people. Cover
Well, you
your
got to do
mouth with
that.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on. Like, these are things that they teach in kindergarten, man. Like, there's no excuse in today's world to not know these types of things, man. Like, that's, PSA over there. But yeah, that's who we're referring to, is the ones who were kind of just, allowing their hubris or their
Just like,
disconnect from the situation.
right. You've used that word hubris twice during this show. What is this word hubris that you're
It's
using?
like cockiness. It's like
Is that what it
overconfidence.
is?
Yeah.
Just say cockiness. I like the word cockiness.
All right. I just think hubris sounds sexier.
You did?
The
You like
English
it?
language can be a
Is that,
beautiful language.
wait,
It's not
is this,
just Spanish and everything else. Like, English can be very
yeah,
beautiful,
I
used
got you.
well.
That's what you've been doing while you got this corona lockdown? You've been studying the dictionary a little bit and going, what word can I use tomorrow on Dharma
Yeah,
Time?
right. No,
You,
man. I'm just built that way, bruh. No, oddly enough, my mom used to
don't be
use.
hubris, Trinity.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
be hubris.
But
The
no,
day I use that in a sentence, I'm going to be very surprised, by the way.
yeah, there you go. But yeah, I think compassion, because it's easy, right? It's easy to get caught up in your own little world.
Yeah.
The other thing I see a lot of at the moment, and I'm still on the fence about this one as far as my reaction to it. I'm on, I'm not on the fence to my belief about it.
Yeah, well,
I'm on the fence to my reaction to it. But I do
well,
think it bears repeating because I think there's at least one or two people watching this, I'm sure, who have heard about it.
well,
The conspiracy that's going around saying that this is all fake and it's the 5G towers that are causing all this. Oh, hold on. We got a very important person who just commented. I'm gonna put this one on the feed actually. Before
yeah, all right.
before we touch that, it was Jenny. Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
She says, "Think about this. I was scheduled to have colon cancer surgery yesterday, and my surgeon's wife got COVID-19, and now my surgery is canceled. So I'm living with the stress that cancer is growing inside me, and knowing having part of my colon out is imminent. How long is too long to wait? Another dilemma with this virus." I
Exactly.
couldn't have said
That's
it
what
any
I'm
better. That was a
talking
perfect example, Jenny. Jenny's a very good friend of the show, and she's been dealing with some medical things for many years now. And she's a badass, just so everybody knows.
She's beat cancer. I don't know how many times, bro.
Yeah, I gotta, not to
You
take a
beat her,
detour, but I'm
Jenny.
going to address that. Jenny, you are the epitome of badass. For those of
Yeah.
you who don't know Jenny, every time you talk to this woman, she is just cool as hell, upbeat, down to earth, focused on life and just having a good time and living it. But she has every reason to be down, pessimistic,
Right.
angry.
Right.
If there's anybody out there in this world that I've ever met that has an excuse to be pissed off at the moment, it would be her, and she's just not. So kudos to you, Jamie or Jenny. You
Yeah.
are officially a badass, and I wish you nothing but the best.
And she's always positive, and that's what I like. She's
Yeah,
positive.
man.
And
Yeah,
like, you don't hear the negativity and blaming stuff. The only negativity I hear from her when she says "have cancer," and that's a beautiful
yeah,
negativity.
it's an
I
awesome one. Yeah,
mimic that. We should all say "have
yeah,
cancer."
right. Um,
So, good luck with that. But that sucks. That's my point. Here's a surgeon where imagine how the surgeon feels.
yeah,
The surgeon knows, wow, I got to get to Jenny. I got to take that colon out. I got to do the colon surgery. But now I may have it.
and my wife has it.
So now I got to be compassionate and loving for my wife and be supportive to my wife, right?
Yeah,
But now I also, what if I have it? I can't go operate on a person and potentially give it to her, even if I'm all gloved up. I mean, it's just a crazy time to have all these dilemmas.
yeah.
You know.
No, yeah. It is an interesting time right now. I know
And will
that.
that be counted if something negative happens to people? Like, what if you're scheduled for something that if you don't have that surgery today, it's over. What about those individuals? They're just a
Yeah,
little bit worse off,
yeah.
and
I don't
they
know.
don't get it. And then what is that, a corona victim?
Well, I
I don't
know
know.
in my wife's
Right.
hospital where she's at, the emergency ones are still being done. The ones
Yeah.
that can wait are being told to wait. And
Right.
can is a very subjective definition there, by the
I
way.
think it's very subjective because who's making that decision?
Yeah.
Screw that.
But
I hope you get that surgery, Jenny, and please
absolutely.
keep us.
But yeah, so back to my point. There is a conspiracy going on at the moment. that basically is trying to allude to the idea that the telecommunications people are putting up these 5G towers and they're trying to switch everything over to 5G, and they're saying that the 5G towers being up is what's causing everybody to be sick. It's not a corona, it's all made up, whatever.
That's
And so here's where my dilemma is, right? Like, not really a dilemma, but my belief in that particular train of thought is just non-existent, right? Like, there's so many statistical things. 5Gs have been around forever, like, or not forever, but they've been around for many years. Other countries have them; and they've been up for a long time. There's been none of these outbreaks that are happening. So to me, that's just fool's gold. Um, but yeah, there's people out there who legitimately believe that this is just a big conspiracy, and 5G towers are making everybody sick. So my belief in that obviously
right.
is non-existent, but it's very difficult for me to not look at those people and think, really, like, really,
I haven't even heard that one, man.
yeah.
You know,
Oh, it's all over.
I'm glad we share different friends on Facebook and social
Yeah,
media, because I
yeah.
don't want to. I don't even know how to respond to that.
I'm not even going to pretend that it's just social media I've heard this. There are people
Where
that
did
I am relatively connected to, which I will not name on here. I will tell you privately afterwards if you want. But there are people that I know.
Kathy? I hope it's not you,
No,
Kathy.
it's not my mom.
All right, good.
But there are people who have verbally, like, they are worried about that, and I've chosen to not really respond to that. I've chosen to kind of just, oh, okay,
Well, the
because
only conspiracy theory that I kind of agree. Oh, were you still going on with
well,
that?
no, I just, like I said, where to me the compassion comes in is I have to understand that those people, while it might sound ludicrous to me, if you're
Right.
scared and you're distrusting anyways, and you're looking for things, that's an easy thing for you to latch on to, as opposed to just admitting there's this unknown virus that's going around killing people.
Well,
So
here's why I can't. Oh, I'm sorry.
go
God,
ahead.
I
No,
keep
go
on
ahead.
interrupting.
No, go for
Hang
it.
on. Well, I was gonna say, first of all, to find someone to blame in times like this, that's normal. Like
Exactly.
whenever you feel kind of pain or you feel frustration or stress from situations, you look for something to blame, right? So I get that part of it. Um, so I may laugh at that and may like be shaking my head, but who knows? You know, I don't know the answer. You know, so if I insulted you, I insulted you, whatever. But I think everybody has a conspiracy
Oh,
theory, right? Everyone I talk to goes, "What do you think about
here I'm
this?"
gonna
What?
put. There's another comment. This is actually from an old high school friend. Actually, hey Candy, I
Okay.
didn't. Awesome. I'm glad you're watching. Candy says, I can tell you from an ER nurse and nurse practitioner that this is real. It's not a hoax or conspiracy theory. And she's somebody who's working on the front line. So thank you very much
Yeah.
for everything that you're doing, Candy.
Right.
Like, that is, bless you, man. Because I know you've got a family, actually, and I know that you're probably stressed out a little bit about what you're exposed to and bringing it home. So thank you very much for doing what you're doing. And thank you for watching, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. And well, look, here's the good thing that no matter what words were said by leadership early on, you know, they didn't have the same information they have today.
Yeah.
So those that use that terminology early on are not saying that now. And that's important.
Yeah.
That's important to distinguish. As far as conspiracy theories, I do find it questionable that well, you know what? I'm not even going to get into
Oh,
that.
come on. No, no, no. Get in there, baby. Come on. Let's go.
Well, I'm just thinking that you know,
We got
you
15
hear a
minutes.
lot of people, you hear people talk about the uh, the predictor funding that was out there, right, to stop a pandemic, right?
Oh, my God.
So there was an organization that they got what $200 million a year, and apparently this administration defunded it after 10 years of it getting funded. 10 years, so it had 5-year cycle, then it got re-upped for another 5-year cycle, then it was about to get re-upped again. So it got defunded in September, and then all of a sudden, in the same laboratories in the same areas, all of a sudden the corona outbreak happened in November. So you got actually people that I hear. So on my side, I don't hear the conspiracy theory you were talking about. I did it, but I do hear the conspiracy theorists on over here on this side saying, "Well, see, if it would have been funded, then if Trump would have defunded it, they would have found it. They would have known it. It was meant to predict, and it didn't get predicted because he defunded this organization. Like it was defunded in September. The coronavirus came out in November. Now imagine all the scientists and doctors that got fired from doing something like that, right? All the countries that now lost money from this $200 million funding. They had 10 years to predict stuff. If it got defunded, it probably has its reasons. I don't know why. But I'm pretty sure that from September to November, they probably weren't, going to find something from September to November. It's not like they were holding something back and then it got defunded and they go, oh, they put their arms down and then it came rushing in. So if there's any conspiracy theory to be thinking about, is like, follow the money. Who was getting the $200 million? And what disgruntled scientist or doctor probably leaked something like this? So if anything I can follow, it'd be something like that.
Right.
It'd be like, that's way too coincidental to lose money, and then all of a sudden they get thrown out there. So I'm willing to listen and entertain that just for like shits and giggles, right?
Right.
Not for anything more than that, because who the hell is going to know? I'm not going to know.
Right.
But I would, read more into something like that. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame the defunding of it. I would blame what science or doctor or CEO of a company. Forget the scientists and doctors, because I don't think they would do it. I don't think they would leak it. But I do think that CEOs and business people that are behind the $200 million and get this kind of funding within their country or within their government or within their business, I think they're capable. That's
Yeah.
not something that's impossible.
Money makes people do crazy things. That's for certain.
But as far as 5G, I would find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I don't. I think, to me, once again, bringing it back to spiritual.
Yeah.
I think
That was a little detour, though.
no, it was a beautiful detour, and we can continue more than that. We got about another 14 minutes of this, and then afterwards, I don't mind doing all sorts of conspiracy stuff.
See, as long as you bring yourself back to sanity, you're fine.
Well, I think that's part of the spiritual part, right? That's what I was actually getting at. Was I think those people who are legitimately spiritually grounded right now, and I don't
Right.
mean, you just, it's a label you tell your friends so you can seem cool. I mean legitimately you're spiritually
Right.
good,
Right.
be it religion, be it spiritual, whatever you want to label it.
Whatever.
If you have a legitimate inner peace at the moment, I think you're doing well. I think you're adjusting well. I think you have the appropriate amount of freak out and the appropriate amount of denial. The ones I'm worried about are the ones who are still refusing to embrace spirituality. Those are the ones I think are having a hard time at the moment. Regardless of what you want to label it or regardless of what you want to zero in on, I think those are the ones that are going stir crazy the most. I think those are the ones that are having the hardest time adjusting. I think those are the ones that are getting more moody than others. I think those are the ones that are buying into whatever they can buy into to find an answer. And so I'm going to just call a duck at the moment. If you're not already a spiritual person, and if you're listening to this, you probably already are, so tell your friends, I guess.
You know who's struggling the most, Trinity?
Yeah.
Here's my belief on who's struggling the most. People that have no faith in humanity. People that really hate people. People that don't believe in people. All the people that says, I like and I think a lot of us have been guilty of saying stuff like that. I like dogs better than people or something like that. We say things like that and we have to believe it, but in times like this, this is where it can really come out. If you don't have faith in the human being and the humanity, then you don't believe we can get through this, and then you believe somebody's doing this to harm you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then you're struggling with this because you're looking for who's the enemy, because we all need a physical enemy,
Sure.
right? So we're not used to having a united enemy where we can all get behind.
Right.
We're used to getting into our little faction, our little tribe, and now we're in our tribe, and who's the enemy? And we're looking for someone to blame. And I think those are the ones struggling the most.
There was I watched a show and it was, interviews people. It's called The Shop with LeBron. He does this thing on HBO or whatever, and he had Jamie Foxx on there. I think it was Jamie Foxx who said it. It might have been the old host of the Daily Show. I can't remember his name at the moment. But Jon Stewart.
Oh, Jon Stewart. Oh, yeah.
He it might have been one of the two of them. But they basically said kind of what you said, and that was, if we really want to end all this infighting, we all need a common enemy. We need like an alien race to come in. If an alien race would come and invade us, we would all band together, and all these infighting amongst humans would instantly be gone because we would have a unifying force that we would go against.
Well, they're already here.
Yeah, well, that's another conspiracy, right?
That's the way I believe that they're already here.
Yeah, but no, I truly do believe, though, man. Like the obviously I'm biased, but and I think you are to some degree. I think spirituality really is the answer to a lot of our issues, man. I think that, not that spirituality necessarily changes your living conditions or your predicaments, it changes your outlook and your mindset. It gives you the internal peace that allows you to deal with everything else around you in a skillful manner. It allows you to put things in perspective. Like, for instance, I don't have any special tools in my pocket to get rid of Corona any more than anybody else does, but I'm not as freaked out about it as some. Not that I'm not aware of the severity of it, but I'm okay. If I get it, I get it. I'll deal with it, and if I can't, I won't. Like, I'll deal with it as it comes. But I'm able to do that. I'm able to have that mindset, not because I'm any better or worse, not because I have some sort of special code or pill that nobody else does. No, but I have a mindset where I'm okay. No matter what's around me, I'm going to be okay. And my definition of okay is fluid. My definition of okay changes as my circumstances change. You
Amen.
know, so like right now, my definition of okay is I don't have coronavirus. I've got a roof over my
Mhm.
head. I've got food in my belly. My kids are healthy. We're okay. Now,
Right.
if I were to get coronavirus tomorrow, I would still be okay. It just my definition of okay would change to I'm still alive. I'm recovering. I'm going to distance myself from my loved ones and hope that they don't get it. And I'm going to do my best to recover and treat the symptoms and try to get through this.
Right.
And then, you know, if I did get through it, then my definition of okay would be I've come through the other side of it. I'm all right. I survived it. I didn't get anybody else around me sick or whatever. So I guess what I'm saying is that's where spirituality comes into play. Whatever your spirituality is, if it's religion, if it's a doorknob, I don't care. Whatever your spirituality is, that's what you need to turn to in times like this. That's what gives you the strength to move forward. That's what gives you that mindset to where you can adjust to anything. So obviously I'm
I,
biased, but
Yeah, I agree 100%. I would just, use a few different words
sure,
in the respect of, I would say, to me, faith is that foundation.
sure,
I would just say that you have to have faith in you. First of all, have faith that your body is going to do whatever it can do to fight off whatever invisible things are trying to attack it. It does it every day already. It's handling battles for you on a regular basis. Is ignorant. It's beautiful to be ignorant. You're walking around all day, getting all kinds of infections and viruses that are trying to attack you. And your body, if you fed it well, and hopefully you did, you drank water, you take good oxygen, you eat well, you take your vitamins, your nutrients, you do what you need to do, and it's fighting for you. So have faith in you. If you're struggling with that, then build you up. Have faith in the systems around you. If you're a plumber, that's your lane. You're a plumber. But now you have to trust people to be in their lane. So if that's the physician, then you gotta have full faith in the physicians. This is not time to attack them or blame them. Just let them do what they do. It's almost like Trinity, like when we were having the pill mill issue, right? It was real easy to then focus on physicians, right?
right,
Was the time. But right now it's the time to support the physicians because
yeah,
now they're the ones that are out there on the front line. They're the current Marine,
right,
right?
yeah, yeah, pretty
Current
much,
line Marine, and so we have to have faith and trust in them. And then these politicians that they're easy to attack when we're playing red and blue, right? When we're playing like Risk,
yeah,
and we're all kind of playing a Risk game. But right now, it's time to support them, no matter who they are, because they're the ones right now that are having to make the Eisenhower moves, right? They're having to
yeah,
make these large general moves, and we don't understand the whole thing. So, if you've ever played any kinds of games like that, then you're thinking resources. You may be concentrating on one, like how much have we heard about this one resource about these damn ventilators, right?
yeah,
But at least we haven't been hearing, these people died because they didn't have ventilators.
yeah,
But yet, every normal person, people like you and me, Trinity, are
mm-hmm.
actually going, well, we need more ventilators. What the hell do I know about a freaking ventilator, man?
Right.
I don't even know if they have all the needles they need. I don't know if they have, stupid shit.
Man, I'm still making sure I got enough toilet paper at the moment, man.
Exactly. So why am I concentrating on freaking ventilators? That's their business. Let them worry about that crap.
Yep.
Not me. I shouldn't be arguing with my friends and trying to judge someone else about something stupid like that. What we need to be doing is just trusting everyone in whatever position they have and saying, that's your lane, brother. Right now, I'm having faith in you to do your lane.
Yep.
You be in your lane. Because when we're driving on the freeway, have you ever been in a situation where everybody's kind of flying at 80 miles an hour, 70, 75 miles an hour, and everybody's like real close to each other?
No,
Don't you
I've
have
never
that
gone that fast in my life. I'm always at 45 miles an hour, sir.
Everybody has to have faith in everybody around them, because while you're going, especially going through Orlando, where the roads go like this, right? You're having faith that everybody is going to stay in their lane. Because if you didn't, you'd panic and you'd create a huge mess. Well, you know what? Some of you, that's what you're doing. Some of you are not having any faith whatsoever. So the road starts going like this in your life, and you start panicking, and you're hitting all of us. Hey, man, stay in your lane. Have a little faith. Look, I'm a counselor, and I'm an entertainer, and I'm a speaker. That's what I'm going to do. I can pop off a little bit, but I know at the end of the day, I have no say so in a lot of this. But when I'm getting these phone calls, like yesterday, I was on some pretty serious phone calls with some people struggling with their alcoholism issues or drug addiction issues, and where they're going to go with that. Boom, I get focused, I get in that lane, and that is my job in this life. That is my lane. When I'm in there, I have to be 100% serious about what I'm doing, and just have faith that I'm going to be there for those people when they call. That's what I'm asking you people to do. Whatever your lane is, be in that lane.
Mic drop.
That was like a little soapbox.
That was your little, testifying. Go ahead, sir.
So it is.
You handle your business, man.
Said some people were doing church still, right? So like,
Yeah, yeah. There are still people out there not taking it seriously.
right.
We only got a couple minutes left, so do you want to make that your final words, or
That's my final
that was
words
your
already.
final words?
Yeah, yeah. Why should I even speak
All
anymore?
right, so I'm gonna do my final words, then we'll do an outro, and then whoever's watching us on Facebook Live, you can
Yeah.
hang out for a little bit, ask some questions.
Exactly. Then we could talk about the
Yeah, we'll
conspiracy.
talk about conspiracies. So today's show might be just a couple minutes shorter than normal, but I
Right on.
digress. Let's get it done. So,
Right
all right. So, I guess as I've said a couple times already on here, the main point I want to drive home today, and this is normally the spot of the show where we do the 3 tips and we kind of give you an action plan. Today I'm going to kind of just make it one generalized tip, and that is compassion. Try to have compassion for yourself in the sense of don't put yourself in a situation where you can potentially infect somebody else or hurt somebody around you, or create an environment that's going to last after this quarantine ends, right? So if you're severing relationships today, you're going to have to deal with that later on. So try to be mindful of that and have enough compassion for yourself, not to say or do anything that's going to jeopardize those in the long run. But then also have enough compassion for those around you. As Louis said, and I think he said it best, I'm sure he did it this show, he might have done another one as well, and that is act as if you have it. How would you behave if you had coronavirus? If you knew that your actions were going to impact those around you directly. So if you knew I have coronavirus, how would you behave? Would you still go out to your local grocery store coughing on people? Would you, whatever it is that you're doing right now, take a true self-assessment and say, how would I behave? And if those two things don't line up, then maybe you need to reevaluate how you move forward. Have compassion for your fellow man. Have compassion in the sense of, hey, everybody's dealing with this differently. Some people are going to freak out. Some people just need an extra moment. Some people have a dog barking in the background. It's okay. Like, I think that's his new dog, Toby, barking.
I sorry.
That's the joys of doing things at home, man. My dogs, thankfully, haven't bothered me yet. So, anyways, I digress. My whole point is just have some compassion for those around you. Act accordingly. Try to be reasonable. Don't take any unnecessary risks. If you're going to leave the house because you need a bag of Cheetos, maybe you stay at the house. Is that Cheetos really worth infecting yourself or your loved ones? Just try to limit your going outside of the house. Try to stay indoors. Find things to keep you occupied. Learn to love those around you. But just at the end of the day, think compassion first. Think, hey, you know what? I want to be doing well, and I want the same for everybody around me. How can I best facilitate that? So I think that's all I got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, we're going to run the outro, and then if you guys want to hang out on Facebook Live for a little bit, ask some questions. It doesn't have to be related to this. It could be anything. All these old videos will be up on youtube.com/Dharma Time if you want to look at it later, if you want to share it. But that's all we got. So thank you for watching. Now that you know better, do better. Peace. Are you still here? What are you doing? I told you, go do better.